Welcome back. I now want to highlight a terrible situation that some condo owners are facing in the Jane Finch neighborhood. And it's also a bit of a cautionary tale for Zoomers who see moving to a condo as a stress-free option when they want to divest a lot of maintenance and security. They want to be able to just close the door and go away if that works out for them. Anyway, York Condominium Corporation number 82 owns this building, and it is demanding that the condo-owning residents pay millions in repairs. The corporation also has a debt of $9 million and sent out a letter to residents giving them only 15 days to pay for a special assessment ranging between $30,000 and $42,000, 500 per unit, depending on the size, plus an additional $800 for monthly maintenance fees. Now, under Ontario's Condominium Act, the corporation has the power to demand that all residents pay for such expenses, regardless of how costly it gets. And many of the owners affected are older people on fixed income. Take a listen.
We don't have a superintendent. We don't have security. We don't have cleaning staff. It was very hard to get the loan. In fact, I've taken something that I don't know how I'm going to pay back because the interest is so high.
Well, that was resident and condo owner Wendy Thomas, and she took out a high interest loan to make that payment because otherwise the condo corporation can put a lien on your property and sell it. And I think this is a bit of a cautionary tale. The numbers to call 416-360-0740, toll free 1-866-740-4740. I know that a lot of our listeners live in condos, and of course there's some good ones, some not so good ones. And now I'm joined by Jonathan Fine, a lawyer with Lash Condo Law in Toronto. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, Libby. How are you? And thank you for having me today.
Okay. Thank you for coming on. So you're saying that this is one of the worst cases you've ever seen.
It is. It is a terrible case, and it's a shame for all the people that live there.
So how come it got to this point that if this corporation has a $9 million debt, they're sending out a letter giving people 15 days to pay?
Well, they need the money, and it's not a we-they situation. I think that, sometimes condo owners may feel that it's a we-they situation, but the condo owners own the building. And where does a condominium corporation get money from when it has debts to pay? It gets it from the unit owners, and the unit owners, by law, must pay and contribute to the common expenses. And if they don't pay, the condo can lien and sell their unit. And that's, what's happening and what's going to happen for some of the people here, unfortunately.
Well, but again, how often have you seen a big bill like this? I mean, it sounds like the residents weren't aware that, first of all, there was a $9 million debt being run up.
Well, I think they were aware, and I think that maybe people just close their eyes to it. You don't see it that often, but I mean, many years ago, I'm thinking 20 years ago, and I'm thinking about a condominium at Avenue Road in St. Clair in the middle of Toronto, and unit owners there had a $75,000 unit special assessment. So it does happen. It's not usual to see these types of numbers, but it does happen. But in this case, I mean, this building is in deplorable condition. And the judge, maybe you've seen the judgment that came out recently, but the judge said that urgent repairs are required for health and safety reasons. Well, if you remember that condo that collapsed
in Miami,
yeah. Well, that is what I took from the judge's reasons that maybe this condo is that bad at this point. So there's no discussing it. Money is required, and it's got to come from somewhere, unfortunately. And that's the harsh reality, sorry to say.
Let's get back to that. I mean, people will remember that horrible story about the condo collapse in Miami, and it turned out that there were engineers' reports about urgent repairs that required millions of dollars, and didn't happen. Residents fought the assessment. So are most people aware that, that the extent to which they can be on the hook for these things when they get into a condo?
Well, they're deemed to be aware because that's the law. When you buy a condo, your lawyer should point these things out to you, what your rights and obligations are, whether the lawyer does a good job or not, or whether the people pay attention because they're more concerned about decorating the unit as opposed to what's going to happen down the road. I don't know. I can't say.
Let's take a call from Kate in Toronto. Hello, Kate.
Hi, Libby. Thank you. I was a condo owner, and I got out of it so fast because I found mostly the board was seniors who didn't want to spend any money on repairs. And when we got a bill for over $1 million for the garage and the tennis courts, everybody voted against it. And I was appalled, and I could see that this is the way the building was going to be run by people who really were not thinking long-term on everybody's behalf. You can't have your cake and eat it, too. If you need to do repairs, they must be done. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, that's an interesting call, and that, unfortunately, I see that happen quite a bit, where people are penny wise but pound foolish, and sometimes the directors don't want to put their hands in their pocket because they don't want to disappoint their neighbors, or maybe they don't have the money, and so they don't raise the common expenses. They don't do the repairs that are required, and then you get into a situation like Kate experienced.
Let's take a call from Ingrid in Thornhill. Hello, Ingrid.
Hi, Libby. Thank you for taking my call. I just want to say I just moved into a condo last April, so I'm pretty new to this whole lifestyle. And for the most part, it's great. But what happened when we, before we took possession of the condo, the lawyer involved did I can't remember what it's called, but they do a check to see that there's money in the kitty, basically. So my building does repairs all the time. It doesn't cost us extra because we checked and they have the extra money in the fund. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, that's something. And this whole thing with the Florida thing, on our board, we have someone that's actually worked in construction and knows a little bit about foundation issues because my building is 30 years old. So they're really actually pretty good here. But we did a thorough check before we moved in to make sure it was okay.
Well, thank you for that. I'm glad it's working out for you, Ingrid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my mom lived in a condo, but they didn't have the kiddie thing. She was at Main and Danforth, or Victoria Park in Danforth. And they were always upping the maintenance, and then they had to fix the elevators, and that was more additional fees, that they were charging the tenants. But that's not happened for me.
Okay. Glad to hear it.
Let me step in
before you.
Sorry,
go ahead, Jonathan.
Let me just say that, for television, radio, the extreme cases make the news. But in my experience, the majority of condominiums in the Toronto area and the GTA area are well run. And so we're only talking about the outliers here. But one of the things that condos are required to do is do what's called a reserve fund study, and they have to update it every 3 years. And what happens is an engineer looks at all of the portions of the building and predicts when they will be repaired or replaced, and then how much it will cost at that time to do that. And I think that this was what this lady was talking about, because what's created is called a reserve fund, and that is really a fund to put away for a rainy day, as it were, when the building needs to be repaired or replaced. And so most condominiums are properly managed and have a good reserve fund. Sometimes they don't, and that's when you run into trouble.
Okay, I'd like to give the numbers out again. If you own or live in a condo and either you've had a good experience or a bad experience in terms of assessments for repairs, is the building kept up? 416-360-0740, toll free 1-866-740-4740. I'm talking to condo lawyer Jonathan Fine. And Jonathan, can you just explain the relationship, the board of the condo corporation, who makes the decisions? Do the decisions stick? Who sues who?
Well, the board of directors is elected by the unit owners, and the board of directors are elected to carry out the affairs of the condominium, which means look after the financial aspects and the building repair and maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. So, so everything is in the control of the board of directors. There are some safeguards that if the board of directors, in the opinion of the unit owners, is doing a bad job, then the unit owners can vote to remove the board of directors if 51% of the unit owners agree or a majority agrees, and put in a new board. But generally speaking, it's the board of directors that makes all the decisions. Now, the board has certain responsibilities. They have to act reasonably. They have to act in good faith, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's how that works. I hope that explains what you wanted to know.
Right, but is there a threshold for which decisions actually go to a vote by the unit holders?
There are some decisions that go to a vote for the unit owners, and that's set out in certain sections of the Condominium Act, but not that many. Most of the decisions revolving around a condominium corporation are carried out by the board of directors in the ordinary course of business.
So why did this particular thing go to court?
Well, one is, as I read the case, one of the unit owners, which was a development corporation called Jasper Developments Corporation, was unhappy with the special assessment and was objecting to it on some technical grounds. But like I said before, the judge came to the conclusion that the building was such a deplorable state and was in urgent need of these repairs for health and safety reasons that he dismissed the case of Jasper Developments.
Okay, let's take a call from Linda in Scarborough. Hi, Linda.
Oh, hi, Libby. I'm just calling. I actually do live in a condo myself, but the reason I'm calling is that my son lives in a condo at 3231 Kingston Road in Scarborough. And he was told that even though there was money in the reserve fund, that the owners are responsible to come up with quite large sums of money to repair the windows. For his unit, it's 1 bedroom plus, and apparently it's about $25,000.
Wow.
Which apparently he can pay over a 5-year period, but at this point, he's thinking about trying to sell it.
Yeah, I certainly can understand that. And thanks, Linda, for your call. It's a tragic situation, though, where you have older people on fixed incomes taking out high interest loans. I mean, Wendy Thomas saying point blank, she has no idea how she's going to pay it back. And she could be, out on the street.
It is a very, very sad situation. But Libby, I'm not too popular when I say this, but it is the reality, and the harsh reality of home ownership is that sometimes people can't afford to live in their homes. And it happens all the time. And it's not just in let's say, low income situations, but it happens in affluent areas of the city as well. So it's tragic. It's really tragic, but it goes on all the time.
Is there any kind of recourse or remedy for an owner like Wendy?
Well, here's the problem. The problem is money is required right now. So how is the condo going to get the money? Either by a special assessment or perhaps by a loan, but you're going to have to find a lender who's going to loan money, and then you'll have to pay a big interest rate. Down the road, it may be that the reason for all this is that somebody was negligent. That is, they didn't do something they were supposed to do. But trying to get a judgment from a court against somebody for negligence takes time, it takes money, it takes a lawyer, you have to pay the lawyer, and then even if after you get a judgment, you still have to try to collect it because maybe the person went bankrupt. So it's not something that there's no recourse right now.
Okay, we are almost out of time. What would you like to leave us with on this case? And is it over, or is there? Do you expect any ramifications from this?
Well, I think that they did take a vote. I mean, one of the things that was open to people, or this condo, was selling the property, and they did put that to a vote. And they couldn't get enough people to agree to sell the property. So, as the judge said, the special assessment was the only feasible option, and they had to go with a special assessment. And it's going to be bad for some people, and hopefully for some people, enough money will be collected so that the building can be put back in good shape. Time will tell.
Okay. Jonathan Fine, thanks for being with us.